Hi, I'm Rhea Mittal, and today I will be doing a video demonstration of Apple's most innovative accessibility feature, the eye tracking on the iPhone. This feature was announced by Apple around May 2024, and it is available on iPhones and iPads running iOS 18 or later. Eye tracking allows users to control their devices entirely through their eyes, no touch, gestures, or voice required. Before diving into the demonstration itself, I want to briefly talk about why I chose this as the assistive technology. As a product and UI UX designer, I've always been fascinated by how accessibility really shapes design. So, although this technology is really cutting edge and exciting, what really drew me towards picking this technology today was because of its incredible potential for users with physical disabilities such as cerebral palsy, ALS, spinal cord injuries, etc., and any other conditions where traditional input methods like touch or gestures can be difficult or impossible to use. I also want to take a moment to talk about Apple's and how it's been a long leader in accessibility. Their philosophy is rooted in the idea that accessibility should be built into every device and not be an afterthought. And therefore, a lot of different Apple products have built in assistive features with no external additional cost, subscription, or any external hardware required. An example of this is AirPods that support live listen, conversation boost, and even act as a hearing aid for people with low to medium hearing loss. Apart from this, the Apple Watch has a haptic feedback for people with hearing impairments. iPhone has voiceover, switch control, and now eye tracking, which can take accessibility even further. Eye tracking is designed for individuals with severe motor disabilities such as cerebral palsy, ALS, or high level spinal cord injuries. These individuals often rely on caregivers or specialized hardware to interact with technology. Apple's eye tracking feature provides touch-free, hardware-free, and built-in solution that allows full device navigation using only eye movements. The technology uses front-facing cameras on iPhones, iPads to detect and interpret eye movement. This is achieved through machine learning algorithms that analyze where your eyes are focused and translate that into cursor movements on the screen. While eye tracking has been and existed for years in research and specialized assistive devices, what's really significant about Apple's implementation is that it requires no external sensors or hardware. Earlier, these systems used to use infrared cameras to detect corneal reflections and pupil movement. Apple, on the other hand, has integrated eye tracking capability directly into the iPhone's depth camera system, which already maps out facial features and the Face ID. So let's start the video demonstration, and we will start by seeing how we can set up the eye tracking. So here I will demonstrate how the eye tracking works. One key thing here is to make sure that the phone is on a stable surface for a long amount of time. It's very important to be at a certain distance from the iPhone, as well as maintaining that distance and position while using the eye tracking feature. That is when it is the most accurate. So now I will open my iPhone. To find eye tracking, we will first find our way to the Settings app, and once we find the Settings app, we will look for eye tracking. And eye tracking is after within accessibility, so you can also go to accessibility and then click on eye tracking, and then we turn on the eye tracking. Now this is where it is very important to have a stand. Okay. So once you click on the eye tracking screen on your settings app, there are a bunch of different options that you can, and a lot of different settings that you can go through. Starting with smoothing. Now, smoothing is something you can increase or decrease, and it basically smoothens the pointer movement. Now the next thing is snap to item. Now in snap to item, it is basically an accessibility feature that makes the on-screen cursor automatically jump to the closest interactive item to where the eyes are. We also have the zoom on keyboard keys. Basically, this comes in use when you are trying to text someone, and when the keypad is open, to the area where the eyes direction is the that part of the keyboard gets a little bit more magnified. That helps in selecting a specific letter or a number. Similarly, we also have auto hide in eye tracking, which makes the pointer invisible for a set amount of time when the eyes are moving to prevent distraction. And finally, with dwell control, maintaining the gaze is still for a specialized duration. It will perform the selected action. So basically, like I explained previously, in dwell control, once you are looking at certain clickable item for a certain amount of time, after that, it takes that action. As you can see, once the dwell menu pops up, I can get access to a range of on-screen control that let me do everything I do with touch using just my eyes. Starting with the notification center, looking at this icon opens the notification center from the top of the screen, letting me view recent alerts, messages, and app notifications. Moving on to scroll, this allows me to scroll up, down, or on a page app hands free. It's essentially and especially useful when reading articles or going through social media feeds. Dwell. The dwell button itself lets me adjust how long I need to rest my gaze on an item before it's selected. It's great for fine tuning how sensitive eye tracking feels. Custom. This opens any personalized shortcuts that I have created, like quick launching an app or activating a specific accessibility action. Device. This menu gives me control over basic hardware functions like adjusting volume, locking the screen, or rotating the display, all through gaze based interaction. Control Center, where I can toggle Wi Fi, Bluetooth, brightness, and other system settings. Okay, now let's look at how eye tracking can help us control our phones through an example. I'm going to try to send a photo to a family group. First, I need to find the Photos app, and then I need to find the photo. Both of these by looking at the same photo or the same app for a duration of time for it to get selected. I can even scroll using the dual control. Once I have picked a video, I will click on the share icon by looking at it for a certain amount of time. And once I do that, I locate the group chat that I want to send it to. Let's add a caption to this video. I'll do that by finding the caption tab and then focusing on the area where I want to type so that the keyboard zooms in just like it did. And let's type out dance. And now we're ready to send the image. Now let's look at another example. In this one, we're gonna try to find a recipe for pasta salads on Google Chrome. We'll start by going to dwell control and going back to the home screen. Now that we're at the home screen, as you can notice, Google Chrome really isn't on this page. So we're going to go back to dwell control and then look for the scroll option. As you may have noticed over the last demo and this one, it takes a little bit of trial and error as well as practice to accurately aim for the part of the screen that you want to focus on and get it to click for the amount of time that you require. Well, now that I've clicked left, this screen has Chrome. So we focus on Chrome and open that. And here is another example of looking up a word through the keyboard. But before we do that, we're going to have to go back to dwell control and go back to be able to select dwell so that we can select the spacebar.
Now that we've searched pasta salad, we need to look for the recipe. And for that, we'll need to scroll down again. So we go back to dual control and look for scroll, this time the arrow pointing downwards. Again, as you can see, it takes a little bit of time and trial and error to accurately get the controls that you intend to use. Okay, great. After scrolling down once, we've found a recipe for pasta salad. And we're gonna have to go back to dual control and go back to 12 to select it. Here we go. We have the recipe now.
Okay, now let's try using one of the custom controls in the dual control panel to find the history of eye tracking. For that, again, we go back to the dual controls, go to custom, and the feature we're going to be using here is hold and drag. Now we go and find Google. And like we saw from our previous demos, typing takes a long time. So we will enable the voice recognition. Like you can see, this also takes a while to accurately understand and get. For example, the issue I was facing here was not being able to correctly get the voice dictation to capture what was saying, which was the history of eye tracking. So I went back and tried again. As you can see, another issue here that I kept facing was it wasn't letting me finish, and before I could say eye tracking, it would just search history off. So I had to be quick enough. Now that we're in the correct page, let's go back to custom controls and look for drag and hold. Like you can see, when you want to click drag and hold is very important, because clicking drag and hold when there was a pop-up about accepting cookies just led it to zooming in and out, not the way that I wanted. So I had to go back, click on dual control and cancel and accept the cookies before I could go back and select the text like I am right now. But also, as you can see, I wanted to capture the heading and the first two paragraphs.
which again takes a bit of trials and a bit of practice to get right. Now that we have copied the first paragraph of the eye tracking website, let's ask Siri to open our Notes app and copy it on there. Perfect. Now we can paste the information, and that is the demo of how you can use specific features in custom controls.
Well, I hope that demo cleared up how this eye tracking tool is supposed to be used. Now, coming to the technology itself and coming to the strengths and limitations. For strengths, one of the great things about this eye tracking being inbuilt within iPhones is that it is fully integrated to the iPhone and there is no external hardware that is required, which also means that it is designed for accessibility, not although it has other uses like user testing in user research, gaming, analytics, etc. It ensures that it is a user first experience when it comes to accessibility. Again, it has seamless integration with iOS accessibility tools, so the other tools such as voiceover, switch control, etc. There are a lot of different options like the dual and sensitivity options. There's a lot of customizability there. And then also there is privacy built in all data processed on the device. Now, the limitations include that for long sessions, this might cause eye fatigue. I, for one, can attest to this while doing the demo and having to repeat myself a couple of times. It gave me eyes fatigue and my eyes felt extremely dry. So to be able to do this for a long period of time can cause a lot of eye fatigue and make your eye feel very dry. There is no option to choose which eye it wants to track. So, for example, this is something that has been experimented in VR headsets, where if someone might have, say, a lazy eye, they are able to select which eye they want the eye tracker to follow, and only that eye is the input that is taken in when using the eye tracking controls. But that does not yet exist in the iPhone. And then also another thing is that, like I mentioned, the phone needs to be on a proper stable stand, and not just that, needs to be at a constant place, but also our distance and angle to the phone needs to be constant throughout the session. Otherwise that can incorrectly map out and not be extremely accurate while using. That brings us to alternatives. What are some of the other products that a user can use for eye tracking? First comes a bunch of different eye tracking devices, one of them being the Tobii Dynavox. A lot of these eye tracking devices have external software, and also in the case of Tobii Dynavox, it is focused, Windows focused. Other than looking at just eye tracking devices, some other iOS alternatives are, like I have previously mentioned, voice control and switch control. And then also there are other ecosystems such as Windows Eye Control and Android Switch Access, which can also be used for people with similar disabilities such as cerebral palsy, ALS, and other spinal cord related disabilities. Now let's go over the pros and cons of using the Apple's iPhone eye tracking tool. The first pro is that this device is completely hands-free. It empowers users with limited motor control. It gives them a way to, it gives them a ubiquitous way to interact with their devices. And then also another pro is also that it has no external equipment or no external cost. So the cost of the iPhone is all that it costs to use this accessibility tool. Apple has for a very long time worked on accessibility and focused on accessibility for users. So eye tracking is already very well integrated into its ecosystem. Some cons are that this is still in very early stages. It can be inconsistent. That is something that I experienced a lot throughout demoing. And also another con is that it takes a lot of practice and there is a long learning curve to be able to control the device only through your eyes. And eye tracking, because accuracy isn't always the perfect, and it takes a lot of practice and patience to be able to use this tool better. And lastly, another con is also that this specific device, eye tracking on iPhone, may not offer advanced calibration flexibility like professional eye trackers do. So it isn't as accurate and as well made for calibration. In the future, I believe that Apple's eye tracking will only evolve to support even more natural interactions, perhaps combining gaze with voice commands and facial gestures for multimodal accessibility. As Apple continues to push inclusive design features like these are not only to empower people with disabilities but also inspire more universal usability principles for everyone. For this demonstration, I used my own iPhone running on iOS 18, showcasing that accessibility innovation is literally at our fingertips. Thank you for watching this walkthrough and this video demonstration of the Apple's eye tracking accessibility feature, a glimpse into the future of inclusive technology.